So
What is up, guys?
KO4.
So, sorry for being late. We went out and got some food.
62,
So we got myself, got Rob Shumate,
S257.
Jill. Not to interrupt the conversation you guys got going here. So, thanks everybody for showing up tonight. This should be an interesting conversation here. We got Rob Shumate in town from Florida, and Mr. fucking Saturday Night Special, Hutch over here. Yeah, so I mean, we're just gonna. I mean, we're already kind of in depth in a conversation here. We've been talking all day. Rob's been out all day, so
come join along. For this
yeah,
show.
just we're talking HHRs, we're talking cars. I'm hoping to kind of do this a little bit more often on the channel. Just get people out that maybe some of us know, maybe somebody that I know that would be just good for a conversation. So, anyways, we're gonna get back into it. These guys were talking about stock motors.
Yeah, still rocking into soccer. Stock by the minute. Just to say. No one's going into detail.
So yeah, it's 6 different setups on there, and it's still the only thing I've done is timing chain.
Yeah,
Probably
many
60
setups.
Yeah, probably 60,000 miles on bigger turbo. As of right now, I still think the 252 was the best setup ever.
Okay, so I've had 3 turbos.
Okay.
Obviously the stocker, the KO4, which was fine.
Right.
Then I went to a GTX 2871.
Okay.
And then I went to my current turbo now, so 3582. So it's like 66 millimeter versus, I can't remember, it was like a little bit bigger than the stock turbo.
Right.
It was great. It was amazing.
Right.
Flew for days, but I missed that.
Now,
So,
when I was on the 6262, you noticed, like, obviously there's lag, but it was so bad to
lag's an
where
understatement, but yeah.
if I was going up an overpass, and let's say trying to stay 45 miles an hour,
Mm-hmm.
I could not accelerate if I floored it. It would, like, if I stayed at 2,800 RPM.
Just slowly creep.
It wouldn't even, the car would just stay at that, like, it could only hold, like, it couldn't get out of its own way. Now, obviously, once it opened up, it was fine.
Oh, yeah.
And it'd crack open at 4,800,
See, you might be running the problem with the turbine housing being too big.
Right.
So,
Well,
smaller
now
housing,
with the 257, it's not.
yeah, it's not as bad.
Yeah, and the 252 was before, like, if you rolled into throttle, I'm not saying like just smashed it or like baby into it, but you could
Rampage would be.
you could just like roll slightly into it, and it was cracking wastegate before you were even full throttle.
Perfect.
Like that turbo was awesome. That was a badass setup.
Yeah, mine takes days.
Yeah.
I mean, I could smoke it in second gear, but man, it's just when you get to third gear, and if it's not like below a certain RPM, it's just like I don't like that. Yeah, it rips hard.
No, I would like the S257. I would let my wife drive it.
Mm-hmm.
The 252, no way, because like I said, you would be not even trying to accelerate, and it would like spool up and be gone. Like I'm just trying to accelerate like 2 more miles an hour. It's like, oh, you want gas, and then all this, it's like, oh my god.
It's been so long since I like driven my. It's like I don't even remember what it feels like anymore.
That's my only experience with
Yeah.
HHRs. The only experience I have in a big turbo HHR is in your car.
I get you down to Florida.
Yeah, and that setup in his car, that's the turbo that's now going to be in my car with the F40.
Once you get down to Florida, you'd be like, how do you drive this on the road?
Yeah, sounds like a good time.
It is a fun time.
Yeah, I accept that challenge. I accept that challenge. So do you guys have any questions out there? You guys got anything to chime in here? We can answer some questions while you got the 3 of us here.
Any questions you guys have for me?
Yeah, any questions we have for you?
Yeah. What's something you've been dying to ask?
After seeing the work that's been put in here, what do you think?
this is a whole different ballgame than what I've done.
Is it more or less professional than you thought it was going to be?
Okay.
Please answer that honestly.
Yeah, that's
please,
what I'm saying.
Please
That's
answer
what
that honestly. Like, don't blow smoke up my ass on this.
Or
I'm gonna be genuine. You have. I remember when you were building the wing on the red car, and when you shaved your hatch the first time. I remember that when you did all this, and you've learned, you've grown definitely. You have definitely stepped your game for sure. Just to take on a big project like this is. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your rear, but taking on a project like this, this is something I would love to do. I just wish I had time for it.
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier today, I mean, it's this was a big pill for me to swallow too, like getting in on this car, and it's been a snowball. I mean, you can go back and watch any of the lives that I've done. It's been a snowball.
Yeah.
You know, I had no intentions of doing the wide body when we brought the car in here.
No,
The
honestly,
Mini
I
Cooper
thought-
roof wasn't an intention.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
didn't know you were gonna go this.
I don't know that I did at the beginning either, but the only reason this car is in this garage right now, Joe and I went for breakfast one morning. We were going to pick up a car, going to the yard or something, and we were having a conversation about how I had the red car and I had the panel at the time. And the panel was just sitting in my mom's garage, literally with a cover on it, very rarely getting driven. And the conversation came up where he said to me, he's like, dude, there's nothing else you can do with the red car. He's like, you can shave the doors. He's like, but other than that, he's like, it's bagged. It's like, the only thing that would make that car better is if it was a panel. And you have a panel in your garage. He's like, so you're really running out of excuses.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, by all means, I didn't take it as you talking shit. I mean, it was that nudge of.
Well, it was also getting you to like as cool as and as much fun as we have with these. It was there's no reason to have two of the same type of build. You know, it's like just make the one cool.
No, this. I love how you just went balls and walls on this. Still worried about my fingers though. I'm getting caught in that door.
Yeah, no, my fingers are worried too. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel
Man,
bad
that
for the
would
first
suck.
person.
Yeah,
that-
I'm looking at it. It looks like a guillotine.
Yeah,
Fingers.
I mean, you will lose a finger. There is no weather stripping on this back hatch.
Well, man, it's,
But I mean, that
I could
was-
see the finished product, and it was pretty badass.
And that's kind of where I'm at now too. Like at the point that the car is at now, like I can stand back at my toolbox and look at the car from the back forward, and it's always like this 3/4 shot has always been my favorite angle of any HHR. And at the point that I'm at now, like I feel like I can see like the finished product. But as far as like taking the steps to get to where it is, it's just been one thing after another, and the whole reason for doing this car was for all the things that I didn't do on the red car that I should have done, that I just didn't for whatever reason. It's like, well, if I had an idea and it looked good enough in my head, I wasn't even bothering coming up with the time to come up with excuses. Like if I could picture it in my head and it looked good, it's like, we're gonna do that too. Not going with the other hatch, just shaving a new one, and building a new spoiler if I even decide to bring the spoilers.
I get this question a lot. I hang out with some car collectors, and they said doing the mods to that car loses the value, and I just told them I didn't care. Have you ever had that question? Somebody be like, well, why do all this work? It's a collector's car.
So, I get, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, I get very little hate for the things that I've done on this car, you know, and the people that I've received the most hate from is probably the purists within the HHR community who say that I've ruined a perfectly good car. And in my own defense, this car holds more of a value to me than I could ever put a price tag on it to resell it in the future. For the simple fact that this car is already a rebuilt title, right? So this car, it doesn't hold the same value as a clean title vehicle. I bought it knowing that it was, you know, a rebuilt title, which is the easiest decision it was for me to cut into it. It's like, if I try to sell it to somebody else in the future, they're going to say to me, "Oh, well, it's a rebuilt title. I'll give you,
Right. It's not.
$5,000 less or
It's not
whatever
the
it would be."
collector car
It's not the
anymore.
it's not the collector car anymore. It's already been ruined once.
When I got my panel, I didn't think any of it out of a collector car. When I bought my car, I didn't even barely did the research. I didn't realize how rare it was.
I don't know if you realize, but your sticker is directly over your
I
shoulder.
know, that's why I took this car.
Yeah, that's a great sticker.
How many miles were on your car when you got it?
30,000.
And how many now?
67,000.
Very cool. And
How many years?
and
I bought it in 2013.
cash money, or how much cash money, if you don't mind?
I think I paid. I want to say I paid 13.
Very cool. Good price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were trying to get it off the lot. It sat on the lot for like, I think a couple of months, and no one would buy it because it was first of all, stick shift,
Right.
scared everybody away,
Right.
and second, what am I gonna do with a
Right.
utility truck? For me, it was perfect because it was my work vehicle at the time. I was like, I needed something good on gas, and well, I say that, but this is back when I had my my Camaro Z28, and I wanted a Trailblazer SS to drive around and tow it with and everything.
Mhm.
I didn't care about the gas miles, but as soon as it got to $3 a gallon, then I had to start caring. And yeah, I bought my panel at a Dodge dealership. And they have the Caliber SRT4s there.
I
They
like
have
those.
the neons.
I like it.
They had a couple neons there, and I saw the panel. I was like, why does this thing got rim? I didn't do any research.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was going there to buy a vehicle for work. I didn't care what it was. And I'm like, it's got... Because the ad said HHR SS panel, I thought it was a typo. I was like, oh, they spelled LS wrong.
And this was in 2013?
2013.
4 years after it came out.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about it. No research, no nothing.
I don't think a lot
What
of
fuel
people
are you
did.
running there?
It had a stage 1 kit on it, so it had premium already marked on there, so I always... All my vehicles already did premium.
So do you not have E there?
Oh,
E85?
E85, yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what your car's on now?
Shitty mix.
Yeah.
It's a hit or miss. Like, you'll get some good cuts, but I used to... My car's still on 93 right now.
Okay.
But before I went to big turbo, I did a 50-50 mix. So you do a 50-50 93 with
Like E43 or whatever.
E47.
Yeah.
You cut it down to E47, and it was amazing. It's cheap, it's great.
Right. See, I'm just on the 85.
Yeah. Of course,
The
back
red
then,
car was on E85.
you have to remember, when I bought this car, there was nothing. Like, I don't think ZZB had even a fuel pump or at that time. All I had was Han Racing.
No,
I think there was some off-brand companies that made stuff. You know, there's a company called, I think CIA makes an intake.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they made one for the base
Yeah,
model as
they
well.
had that thing, that big shield on top of the engine,
Yeah.
right into it's supposed to be their ram air
Yeah.
intake. I was thinking about buying that, but I didn't. God, I can't imagine what it was.
What do you think of my Ram Air fender?
It's nice, huh?
That's nice, huh?
When you go 100 miles an hour, see that thing go.
It's all sheet metal.
Yeah, no, but I love your setup.
It won't go nowhere.
It's fine. I'll make my own.
Somebody did ask me about it, and I said I wish it was as easy as just slitting it and pushing it down, but the headlight is so close to the fender.
See, that's yeah.
Like if you were to really get down and look, that fender is now,
so close.
you know, so I cut like imagine a road cone in half pretty much,
Yeah.
and welded that triangle onto the fender to get that extra little bit of lift. Because otherwise the opening was like
Be
a
like that,
quarter of an inch,
inch.
you know.
And-
That's not worth the effort.
No,
you know?
no, it's not.
And that's the kind of thing that, like I was telling you earlier before we went to his house, it's like the kind of things that he'll do, you know, just like that little bit of extra effort for, you know, he'll go 10 feet to get a foot, and that foot looks really good. It's got a good look to it. Oh my goodness.
Hi.
What's up, dude? We got company out here?
What?
I'll rose it.
What's up, man?
You want to see something gross?
What?
Come here. Look at my eyeball.
Does it look bad? Yeah. What are you doing out here, buddy?
Seeing if you guys need help.
If we needed help?
What?
No,
Do you
we're
want to
good.
work on the car?
No, we're not working
No,
on the
not
car.
that.
We're just talking. Does Mom know you're out here? No, she doesn't.
She was
No,
looking
you guys
at
need to
me
go
going
back
up.
inside. Come on,
She
you guys
was-
need to go back
She
inside.
was looking at me.
No.
going,
No, back inside. Come on.
Hey, Lincoln.
See you, bud. So why the wood grain?
I was nervous about having it powder coated because of all the horror stories I had seen about the baffles melting and stuff like that.
Yeah, mine are probably melted. I've had mine powder cut twice.
Yeah. I mean, I've been told it's like as long as they're using a big oven, it's just like a normal size
Yeah.
oven is 2 direct heat, I guess. But I wanted something. I mean, I had done like the VHD paint before on my orange car.
Never lasts.
Mine, I had no problems with it, to be honest with you. But
for me, I mean, it's all in the prep work and everything.
right.
But for me, it was never lasts.
But I just didn't want. I wanted something different. The majority of like the HydraDip stuff, I just really wasn't like my style, and
It looks
it's
good.
very loud.
Yeah.
And then I used to be a finish carpenter, so like I do enjoy wood grain, you know. So
Oh, nice.
and
I
it was
love how
just,
you incorporated that.
like it's kind of retro to me, you know. A lot of people do like the wood trunks and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I'll take it the
Yeah.
next step, and it definitely has a, because to me, I think my car looks awesome, but still, people still think it's just an HHR, you know. But when they walk by and they see that, they stop every time, and then they'll actually embrace and look over the car.
Yeah.
So it does
wood-
its
the wood
job
grain?
as pulling it, like it does pull people in for sure. And that was something I.
Not to brag, but having a big turbo sitting there really brings people in.
Okay, so I think that's a big difference of Midwest and East Coast, or I mean Florida in particular. Like we were talking earlier, your car season doesn't end. Like you don't have a
No.
build season.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, we've got a legitimate. You can call it winter or you can call it a build season.
Anytime that anybody has their car go down for a long period of time in Florida, they figure like, what happened to you? Fell off
Right.
the face of the earth.
Right. So I think that's a big difference between, you know, like when I kind of bring it up sometimes when I go live here, you know, and I talk about it, like for you guys, like a vehicle that's going to show up to a Cars and Coffee in Florida or California or somewhere that's got like a big car scene. For me, from the outside looking in, I would expect all of those cars to be, excuse me, I would expect all of those cars to be pretty much top notch because of the location.
They're very
because
clean.
they don't have a down season.
No, they don't.
In the Midwest, I mean, you can come to the Cars and Coffee around here. Like, there's, depending on where you go, it can be a 50-50 mix of super high-end cars and then just some jalopy-ass turds with a you know, a muffler.
Right.
So I think around here, like at the Midwest, you know, in the Midwest, when it comes to like popping your hood,
A lot don't.
a lot of people don't. And I think if you pop your hood, and especially at a Cars and Coffee, because it's a little bit different from a regular car show, you know, the car shows, you've been accepted. Like, you're supposed to pop your hood. You go to a Cars and Coffee that's casual, families, kids, strollers and whatnot. When you get people popping your hood at a Cars and Coffee in the Midwest, for me, I see that as like, okay, like you're inviting me over to see something that I might not see otherwise. You know, because here, you, like I said, you can see some junk out there. And I know for me, pulling into Cars and Coffee, the handful of times that I would go around here, showing up at an HHR, like it was, I got an absolute kick out of it every single time. Because you can see people smiling. You can see people starting to chuckle and give their buddy the nudge, like, look at this thing coming. Right? And as you get close to you hear the turbo.
Yeah.
I pull up and I park. I air out. They see the brakes. you know, they see all of the things, and then as soon as I get out and I pop that hood and I open the hood, like for me, from the outside looking in, like I would laugh at me too pulling into a parking lot. You know, if I showed up in a Corvette and some dude showed up in a HHR on air ride, I'm gonna giggle. But if he pops his hood and I see what looks like a unicorn covered, just glistening from the sunlight, majestic thing coming from underneath his hood, which is what I did with that polished engine bay.
Mm-hmm.
When I would pop that thing at Cars and Coffee, it was a magnet. It was an absolute magnet. And at that point, it's like, once people saw that I was going to the effort of popping my hood and inviting people to come and critique what I had done, and they see all of that, like Joe said, you have a good engine bay in the Midwest, that's an invitation for people to circle your car, critique your car, give their opinion. You know, I maybe not give your opinion out loud, so be it, but you know, you're inviting people to come and look at what you've done, and popping your hood in is an invitation, as far as I'm concerned.
I have to bring it down to Florida to one of the biggest car coffees. So right down the street from it.
I've seen you post pictures of it.
It'll take days to get through all the cars.
That's
So
crazy.
yours is on driver's side?
My exit, yes, is on the driver's side.
So I should be on passenger side. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get lucky and just run the manifold upside down and just put it on the left side.
More power to you.
You know,
Having it on the driver's side is fun and all.
that's what I'm hoping.
When I shot a big flame one time and it came right in my window.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Came in your window?
Yeah, it shot a flame. Okay, I was doing a pull. It's like one of my when I just got the car up and running, and I had to do a pull for James. James is my tuner.
Okay.
Was doing a pull on the street. I missed third gear. I bounced. I hit the gate, popped up, popped back in, and between the RPMs going back in,
Fuel just dumped on
it dumped out, ran back in, ran back up. It popped so big it came into the window.
Singed your beard.
It singed my eyebrow a little bit. But I do it again if I have to. I would do it again. That's one thing I don't regret.
So, I have a question for you that you and I briefly talked about earlier today.
Sure.
When I got into the HHRs, I remember your car when it was black. That was right around the time when you first went blue, was right around the time that I got into finding out that there was even an HHR community. I was still in my base model panel at the time.
Yeah, I remember the silver one.
Yeah. And I remember when you went blue and the look that your car had and the pictures that you were posting, it's like, dude, you're just fucking killing it. Just absolutely killing it. And I think it's pretty safe to say that when the pandemic started and the 1320 did that contest,
I still have that on my phone.
and you topped out that contest in the top 10,
Top five,
Top
right?
five.
Yeah.
It was top 5. I
Top
have it on my phone.
five.
I have it on my phone. I popped right
Dude.
now.
I tell that story all the time.
and
Out
in-
of, I
yeah.
have, I can't remember. It was like
What's
millions.
going on there?
the GoPro is overheating.
GoPro 7,
Yeah. Yeah.
standard.
Yeah. We're looking to upgrade that here soon.
No, you're good.
I remember seeing that and just thinking,
It blew my mind.
it was so crazy because here we are, like,
That was my sorry to interrupt,
No,
but that
please.
was one of my life goals to be on 1320.
and kudos to you.
Yeah.
Kudos
Yeah.
to you
I'm
because
wearing
I
a
mean,
1320 shirt right now.
yeah, dude. I mean, seeing that and like, again, I brought this up to you earlier, and just seeing like something like that, you doing something like that and reaching that goal, and here's the rest of us in this community that are, to a certain extent, embarrassed to go to Cars and Coffee because we're getting laughed at.
Should
And
be.
now here's Rob up here getting top 5 in a contest that is, like, the record showed there was a ridiculous amount of people voting.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, a ridiculous amount of people voting because it was the beginning of the pandemic. And the HHR capped it. And it was, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was excellent for the entire community. I thought you composed yourself very well with getting that title. You know, I think some people that could have, you know, they could have taken it a different way, but I thought you composed yourself very well. And with that being said, when you were blue and everybody knew your car, because that's something that people have said to me, I can assure you people have said it to Rob, they see my car and they're like, oh, do you know that guy Rob with the blue panel? Like, oh, I follow that guy on Instagram. It's like, yeah, I know Rob. Like, I've known Rob for a while now. When you went from the blue to the chromatic psychedelic silver, that the metallic color, because that was, again, we talked about this earlier, that was right after you did the Big Apple media shoot, which after the 1320 thing, you come out with the Big Apple media shoot and those rollers and the video, and I told you earlier, I'm not blowing smoke. The videos, the audio, everything, the way you put it out there.
I know, I messaged him and was like, oh, if there's the longer of this clip, I want it. Oh, I was like, however much footage you got, I want it.
It was so good, and I felt like, because of what you had already achieved with 1320, and the fact that you now put this out, that was just like I felt like there was an audience of people out there that wanted more, and you gave them more. Like, they wanted another bite, you gave them an entire cupcake, right? And again, like I said to you earlier, like, I thought it was cool. Like, I didn't, like, this was our first time meeting face to face. Like, we hadn't spoken over the phone, but, you know, we had been friends on Facebook and social media. And for me, I was like, man, that's fucking cool. Like, I fucking know this dude. Like, I know this dude. And he's getting, like, well-due recognition. And I was genuinely happy for you. My question, when you went from the blue to the silver, dude, how scared were you? Like, what, I mean, were you excited? Were you nervous? Like, what were you feeling? Because...
Or what brought it about?
All of it. All of that.
When I did the Big Apple shoot, at that time, the wrap has been on the car for 7 years. And wrap in Florida does not last more than 5 years.
Was it an outdoor car?
No.
Okay.
No, I made sure that the HHR, well, in its daily driven life, it was an outdoor car. But until I got my first condo and then my house, I had always had a garage. I mean, I always had to have a place in the garage. Okay. So it stayed garage kept for...
Tyler Gordon says that
40.
blue video is the reason he got an HHI.
Thanks, man. You know, it's the funny part is, when I did that video, that was the end of the blue car. That was...
And that's what you said to me earlier.
No.
That's why I said to you, I want to leave this
No.
conversation for now.
No, that was what I do is, when I reach a certain stage in a build, I gotta get videos, I gotta get photo shoot, I gotta get all knocked out before I start changing things. I can't. Something about me, I just can't leave things alone, and I have to keep constantly changing
Sickness.
stuff. Yeah, I know.
See, I am terrible with taking any photos. I'm like a person, like, if we were in your garage, you cannot mention, like, oh, I'm kind of thinking about doing this, because I'm like, I bet we can get it done in the next 35 minutes. You know, it's like, let's do it. And
Just get done.
You know, as soon as I get an idea in my head, I have no problems
Jump
coming
right
out with it. You know, it's like, I can't, there's so much stuff that I've missed because, you know, I'm just too far ahead of myself.
Well, with, you know, a lot of stuff on my car, on my build, was stuff that I was told you couldn't do. Like, someone told me you can't relocate the fuse box and put a bigger turbo, which can't be done. I was like, alright, I said bet, and let's go. I took a year off to relocate the fuse box and the bumper.
And I remember you posting pictures of just like
I would
it
literally
was like
go
a
to work.
Disney video of wiring it.
Spaghetti all over the place.
Now, did you use like same color wire to...
Yeah, I actually went to a website and I actually found the type, the gauge. I took my strippers and measured the gauge, make sure there was a proper gauge. Only the longest strand I had was like about a foot and a half, because I wanted to keep everything. Like, I'm just moving everything into the bumper,
Right.
So we're not losing voltage. I'm not gonna be able to, like, going down the road and the car's gonna die on me. I planned for everything. I planned for it. Like, if there was a voltage drop for communication with the CAN bus system and everything, I made sure there was minimum voltage drop. So, It was one of the craziest projects I've ever taken on. But I did it blind. I said, I'll just go for it. And then I think I had 2 fabricators turn me away because they're like, no, dude, it's gonna be too expensive to do it. And I found a guy to do it. And that was
The Sidewinder kit?
Yep. I found a guy who built it. It took him like 4 months. He built it. And then I had to finish the exhaust portion.
I mean, finding somebody that can see your vision and
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass because I wanted a twin scroll, T3 with a V-band exit, and I wanted to exit either out of the hood or the fender. At that portion, I didn't have anything because all I had at the time, he just gave me a little temporary pipe because he couldn't finish the entire thing because he went out of business. But yeah, it was. I had to get my other buddy to finish it. At least he finished the exhaust portion. That's how he got the teardrop in the fender, and then the teardrop in the thing. Where if you open the hood, it looks like a heart.
Right.
yeah, I remember.
That was a
too.
that was a detail that just was a happy accident.
I've been telling him for his, he should be doing his light bulb
You
logo.
should. They'd be paying.
You know, he could do the
Yeah.
ring, and then he could even do the filament across the.
Do that in the hood.
You know.
Exhaust port right there.
Yeah. That's I mean that would be.
Hey man, if I was here a whole week, I'd give you a bunch of ideas.
And that, I mean, that is something that Joe and I have talked about too. I mean, the amount of time that him and I have spent on the car, the amount of time that I've spent out here by myself, like actually to the point when the car has been under the knife, not just turning wrenches, but actually cutting and welding. I mean, it's probably about, I think we said it was like about 60 hours of work, and in that 60 hours, every time I came out here, I was taking tools back out. Because like I try not to leave all this shit out. Like I try and clean up and put shit away, but
You hate to see the work, man.
man, I mean, I'm not as tidy with everything in my life as I am organized with the car.
Yeah.
But again, as you guys have seen here with your own eyes, I mean, as you've seen this entire process, like it is a lot of work. And I told you earlier, like I go out of my way to not get stressed out about the car. I mean, I haven't welded on the car since like I think maybe 2 weeks ago. I threw some welds on the roof, but I've been busy in between there, and I no longer have a deadline for the car.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure as
Was
long
it
as
Tuesday or Wednesday?
it'll be Tuesday. It'll be
Yeah,
done.
Tuesday.
It'll be done
For
on.
sure
It'll
on
be
Tuesday.
done on a Tuesday.
Right, for the video on Wednesday.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
the
video on
For
Wednesday.
the video on Wednesday. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got it down.
And I just kind of stick with it and stay true to the plan. And I mean, honestly, like the simple fact that like I have the two of you here right now talking, like easily the most famous HHR out there.
Mm-hmm.
Your car, what you've done with your car is, I mean, beyond unbelievable. I think what I did with the red car was pretty fucking cool, but the fact that my name is even in conversations with a car that has no motor in it, no interior, nothing. Like this is closer to the beginning than it is to the end.
Yeah.
It's
Wow,
the end
way
is
to go.
so far away, but the fact that it's even brought up in conversation, that people even talk about it or have talked about things that I've done, like it's awesome. I love it.
But you know
And
what's nice
I
is
see
you
you guys
watch it.
here with your cars, and it is one of those things that continues to motivate me every Wednesday to come out here and keep working, because eventually this car will be done, it will be painted, and I mean, I don't get excited about finishing the car to the point that it gives me anxiety, but the thought of this car being done and like the three of us meeting up somewhere, Tail of the Dragon, my place, somewhere, and a photo of our cars, our group of buddies, like our guys, like with a bunch of finished vehicles, man, like it's shit that I dreamt about for my entire life as a little kid and everything. Kind of doing this shit now, and I love it.
If it wasn't for rap, I wouldn't have had the kahunas to take all the stuff that I did to the car. for sure. You know, like the wrap for sure opened up doors for me that I was, or just like I said, the balls to be able to feel like I could.
Sometimes you just gotta jump right in.
Yep.
Just get your feet wet.
And what I'm noticing, especially like, because I do think we're almost a team at this point, whereas I feel that between the both of us, we don't really get stumped very often, and that gives me more confidence too, you know? And we definitely work similar, and our minds are the same, you know, as far as how those work, so it's...
See, it's nice. You guys, you can feed off each other.
It's very...
Fortunately for me, I don't know about you.
I mean, and I consider myself extremely lucky that, you know, I make it very, very out there. Like, I appreciate Joe's friendship. I appreciate the help that he provides me on the car, you know. I told you earlier, when he's out here Wednesdays, when he shows up, like, when he's here on Wednesdays, he's not necessarily here to do 50% of the work. He shows up because I'm going to be out here working. He knows there will be something that he can do, but if nothing else, like, he's just going to be here to, like, no, dude, now jump over to that, like.
Yeah,
Otherwise, this is like ADD Garage. You know, I can skip from one project to another, and Joe's just like
I said, I
keep
can't.
going.
Sunroof. It's gotta do this.
Yeah,
Gotta do that.
Yeah, when there's something to be done, I'm like, I gotta do it.
So he
I
keeps
can't
you
sit still.
focused. So you don't
I
have to
mean,
keep bouncing around.
when we got this corner done
Alright, what's
on the car, that's what it was like.
You
It was
said
like
something to
we
me.
banged that shit out, and
You
it
were
was
like, I want
such
to
a
get
good
this
night.
done, and I looked at you and I was like, we're gonna get this whole side of the bumper done.
And I literally said it on camera. It's on live. I looked at the camera and I said, Joe thinks we're going to get this entire corner done. And I kind of gave like a sideways look.
Yeah,
like 2.5 hours later, we were done.
Like the man goes, you sure about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, it's, I mean, not, you know, you're a good friend. I bounce ideas off of you well. And, I mean, when it came time for me to tear apart the red car, like, I was sitting on a lot of custom parts, you know, and it was a lot of custom parts that I had no intention of using again, that I knew a lot of people wanted had I put them up for sale.
Yeah.
And I would have dealt with tire kickers. I would have dealt with, you know, people ragging on me about shipping or coming out and picking it up. And it's like, here's Joe, he's building a car.
Oh yeah, I reaped a lot of benefits from you getting the panel.
You sure did.
Yeah.
I've seen the benefits.
Yeah.
You know?
And, I mean,
And I'm always the one too, like, we're at this point, it's pretty amazing, like, because, you know, we've been friends now for, 5 years or something like that. And at first, like, we did deals, you know, and it was, but now it's, we don't talk, there's no money conversations, you know, it's, we're going to do this or I'm going to do that, and no, you just take it, you'll get me on the next time. There is so much, like, camaraderie and brotherliness between us. It's really neat, you know.
Yeah,
like,
it's
more so than my own real actual brother, you know.
And, you know, for me, like, it's something that I do appreciate, you know. It goes a long way. You know, having a buddy in the garage, you don't even have to talk to. Well, we don't even have to have conversation out here. We're getting shit done. We're on the same wavelength. Like I told you, like, this is my sanctuary. You know, I come out here and I could solve the world's problem out here by myself and come up with a solution that I would think is good enough for everybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can also narrow that down to just my life. And it happens a lot out here. And there's definitely some nights where Joe's out here and it's just like, like this whole corner, like, we just got it done. And, like, we took a step back and was like, dude, that just, like, fell together. Like, it just fell together. And not only did we do all of this side, but we duplicated every single piece that we made.
Yeah. So
we can do the other side.
Yeah, that's
in less of the time. Yeah, that side's already cut and done. It's just
yeah.
we gotta cut all of that out to get to that side, which has been the one thing I've been procrastinating on this car the most. But a lot of welding to do. A lot of welding, a lot of grinding. A lot of grinding. Shout out to Benchmark Abrasives for all those flat discs I got the other day.
Definitely gonna need a box.
Yeah.
But I put them together. I can start seeing it.
I mean, I feel like if you were to take this right now to somewhere and put a sign and said, first time, there would be a lot of,
Oh yeah, you're gonna blow people away by saying, "Oh, this is
you know,
first time doing my body kit," and they're like, "What?"
right. I think it's very impressive, you know. Like I said, I have told you before, it's like, I am not, like, all my bodywork stuff was all first time stuff too, you know.
And
It's
then
like,
you gotta learn somehow.
it's like, man,
Yeah.
it's just, I look at that and say, like, that's why I asked you in person, is it better or worse? Because, like, on camera, some things can go hidden,
Some things on camera do not look.
you know.
Like I said, like with your rap,
Right.
that the camera cannot pick up that flake and it doesn't pop.
Right. It looks like white noise in person.
Yeah,
you know?
it just look like.
But like this, when I look at this, it's like, that's straight. You know, I mean, it's all metal. You're not gonna have to cake shit up to, you know.
I mean, the doors are warped as shit, but
the two doors, but again, that can
Yeah,
be.
but that's something to be dollied, hand
Yeah,
dollied
yes,
down, all that
yeah,
jazz.
yeah. As of right now, that's all.
Just means more work.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, every time we get close to finishing something, we got the roof, all right, and we were waiting for 500 people, 500 subscribers, to do a job that took us 2.5 hours. We'd spent months thinking about it, made a paper pattern, had the lines drawn on the roof well ahead of
I
time,
handed a lot out.
and when the time came, it was like we just got it done. Like next thing you know, we had glass bolted into the roof by the end of the night. It's like,
I can't wait to see that thing run.
man, yeah. Rob was out here earlier with all
Trying to
his
help him out.
with all of his
Trying to get this
electrical
thing going.
wizardry. He was messing around with the panel there.
Well, Dice, what do you think? Motor toast?
No.
He
You
says
have
that
to-
the
you
jump
have-
box won't do it.
Okay, there is a control wire. There's a couple grounds you gotta hook up.
You're the best.
The thing is, you have the control module sitting right there.
Right.
Look up the schematic, and if it's got 2 grounds and a communication wire, I think if you can find a way to lower it down to like 5 volts until there's a signal there, it will.
Well, because the other guy did it like straight from the battery. You know, in the video, he was walking us through. He was telling us, "Here, I'm touching this wire and this wire," and he was able to make them move.
Check your ground.
You know.
Wait, is there battery in the car?
No.
Were you trying with the jump box?
Yeah.
You need the ground hooked up to the car.
I just
think-
want to see the
I think-
double.
I think it's because you have that jump box there, and I think that you don't have the ground in the car. I don't know. I mean, we could mess with it later. I mean,
Interesting. Yeah,
Only
'cause
thing
I
is,
just got quarter to.
if I had more time, if this wasn't a day thing, I mean, wasn't 2 hours away,
man.
I would have a field day with this thing.
So Rob was actually in town with his wife. They flew into Chicago the
It
other
was very
day.
nice as well.
Yes, we had dinner with them tonight. It was great. Flew into Chicago, and then day one came and visited some friends up in Wisconsin. So they were like 2 hours north of where I'm at here. So booked it out a couple weeks ago. We've had this booked for a while.
Yeah.
Been talking about this for a while.
Yeah, I was like, hey, guess what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in your area, and
I'm
here
glad
we
you
are.
were able to swing by too.
No, I was very glad I came by.
Yeah, there were.
This is something I wanted to do for a very long time. But this is probably the only time we'll probably be able to do something like this.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I really appreciate you putting forth the effort to get out here to see the car, to sit down
Oh,
and
trust
just
me, if I
talk,
was-
and
yeah.
I mean, I love it, dude. This is, for me, this is enough motivation. This is stockpile of motivation.
Oh yeah,
I hope
I'm gonna
so.
take some of this home with me.
Ah, yeah. Hopefully not physically, but yeah.
Well, I mean, spoiler around here or something.
Yeah, I'm sure if you need something, he's got it here.
I imagine so. I seen the stockpile.
Did you look at the rear end?
Yeah.
To see how it was all together
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
Can't wait to see when you start that project.
No, I mean, it's already back on the car.
What?
How the rear bags are set up.
Oh, with the hub plates and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta show me after.
Yeah.
man, that was.
Sound like it was a lot of fun.
It was. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of, that too was one of those things where I was
Sweat.
just
I
like,
can see the sweat dripping
dude,
down.
I was procrastinating on that for so long.
No.
It got to a point where I just simply needed to
Just
get.
jump in and do
I
it.
needed to get it finished because I had to get things tested on the car to, get my fitment figured out. So I needed to get the I-beam done. And all of a sudden, I was like, man,
Why did it take so long?
this is fucking cool as shit. Like, this is cool, man. Yeah, that was.
So those are the templates you got from Lingerie?
Yep.
You
Yeah.
want to talk about panel build?
God, I mean, you want to talk about a talented dude.
That man's
Okay.
talented.
Talking about Mike Martin, aka Lunchy B on Instagram and social medias. Right now he's doing a Hemi swapped
Liberty.
Jeep
Renegade.
Jeep Renegade with a wide body.
It's a monster.
It's just, I mean, it's everything. It's bagged.
It's
everything.
disgusting.
But he is also a member of the HHR community, and
Yeah, he's got green panel. I don't know if it's still green though.
he had the
glass,
silver
rear
one
glass is
too.
gone on
Yeah.
that too, right?
See,
No, I think he just
Dipped over.
dipped over.
Okay.
So I don't think he has the green one anymore. That's the one that because he had that one bagged and tubbed
Like
for
me and him
24.
were like,
Old school.
yeah, we were the only guys on the block at that time.
Yeah. And that too, I remember when I first got onto Instagram, you, Shane, Mike Martin were all some of the first HHR people because that was why I got onto like the car side of Instagram. Otherwise, it was like all of my art. But yeah, finding you guys on there was just like, holy shit! Like there is other people out here doing stuff with HHRs. Because I think I told you too earlier. Like Burnaby was the first guy that I actually met in the HHR community when I got in touch with. You remember CJ?
Yeah. I remember CJ. I can't forget.
Yeah, right. So he's like the original SS part out guy that
Yes.
I got in contact with, and he had a set of SS seats, and I forget what state he was in, but he met me halfway, and it was like a 6-hour drive for both of us, and I was going down there to get an SS interior, and Burnaby had a couple SS seats that he wanted to swap that CJ had as well. So on my way down there, I stopped at Burns, met him, and saw Kevin's car, who it was Sam Huck's car when it had like the desert sand wrap on it or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
So that was the first big turbo HHR, first custom built HHR that I had seen outside of my black headlight LED taillight head.
Good old days.
Yeah, no, seriously, that was like eye-opening. Like, wow, there's actually. I think he had like the louvered vents in the fenders or
Yes,
in
he
the
did.
hood rather.
Yes, he did.
And just thinking like, man, that's so odd. Like, what an odd thing to do, but hot damn, does that look cool?
I tried selling my TVS Redline for that car.
Yeah. I know a lot of people because that car went up for sale a bunch of times and it was passed around like a hot potato for a couple years, and then Kevin got a hold of it. But round full circle. Went to Burns, met him, saw the car that was Sam's, that is now Kevin's. Went, drove out, met CJ, got the silver and black SS interior that I come to find out those seats were the seats from your car.
Yeah, no. Those seats got passed around.
You have the brakes that were used to be on my car.
Right. Yeah, so, yeah, and that was the thing, when I got my SS and immediately dove into modifying it, like there were people that I was following, and when parts came up for sale, like I didn't skip a beat. I snatched stuff up and paid people their asking price, and it was a little ridiculous. I went kind of balls to the wall with that car right out of the gate, but
Man, that's the only thing when starting out in this community, it was the worst. Is everything had to be tailor-made. Everything. It was not. I mean, you could have bought bolt-on stuff from ZZ Wall. At the time, ZZP was just now getting into the LNF stuff because they were more focused on the 3800 stuff. I mean, they had a little stuff for the LSJ. I mean, they only had pulleys at that time, but yeah, to find mods for this car back when I first started out was a nightmare, complete nightmare. I was like, damn, I gotta get everything custom made. I had a downpipe with a cutout made for this car. I mean, it was just a pain in the ass, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I didn't deal with any of that. Because when I met you, you were already balls deep into your Ion. And all the other guys in our group, like, they had built cars. And here I am with this stock HHR. I just simply bought performance parts that people were like, yeah, you should probably get that for your car. You should put that on. The parts that I wanted, nobody was making the cosmetic parts that I wanted to build. Like, nobody was making a different spoiler. Nobody was making, a wild hood. So, and then I found that people were putting the SS scoop in there and made a spoiler, broke it. Yeah, finding yourself in a niche community like this.
Yeah.
It can
be tasking.
Yeah, tasking. That's exactly what I was just gonna say. Tasking.
Very tasking. But it's worth it at the end of the day. Because no one's gonna have the
Yeah, and showing up in a unique vehicle that,
it blows people's minds.
Yeah.
Every time I show up, you see the big intercooler and then there's a jaws just drop. Like, what is in that thing?
My brother-in-law got to experience that at the Cars and Coffee there last time.
You're like, what?
Whenever we got done, we went to his parents' house, and just hearing him talk, he was like, to his dad, he was like, dude, it was so cool. Like, as soon as we pull in, he was like,
Everyone
was checking the car
stops,
out. He was
breaks
like, I've
their
never
neck.
seen,
and like,
he was like, it was like, I've never seen somebody get so much attention.
yeah, because I don't know how it is for you guys up here, but we are flooded with Camaros, Mustangs,
Yes.
Challengers, Chargers,
Subarus.
Subaru is kind of rare down there.
Is
There's a
it?
couple. There's a couple, but it's. We hardly see.
You're gonna get
Dude,
Chargers,
you throw a rock,
Challengers.
you're gonna hit a Subaru.
Yeah. Well, it
Infiniti
makes sense for up
G35,
here.
Yeah, 370Zs,
And
anything
all-
with those.
BRZ.
And every car in Florida is like either 1,000 horsepower, 800 horsepower. It's like monsters coming to the car. There was like twin turbo trailblazers coming to the car show. Like I said, you come down to Florida, I'll take you to Cars and Coffee, I'll blow your mind with all the cars that are out.
Yeah, I believe it. That's what I was saying earlier. Like the having the build season, the off season in the Midwest.
Yeah, you guys, it's nice for you guys. You guys get downtime, you can actually focus.
But at the same time, the weather's shit. So we're out here. If we have to work on the car
It's
for
freezing,
that downtime, it's not enjoyable. Like, shit acts different.
This was my first winter working in my garage with heat that wasn't propane.
Do you want to trade?
Dude, 3 winters.
I work in the freezing cold.
You
you
say
work
that.
at-
You
You work
say
in that
that
Florida heat.
now. You
Tell
say
you what.
that now.
Tell you what,
Let
we
me
will
tell you,
take-
this concrete gets so cold.
Ugh.
It's like a freezer in here.
Oh, dude, it's so
It's
like,
something,
dude. Prior to
your
this
muscles
winter,
are tight because you're just flexing everything.
you go inside to go to sleep at night and you just pass out. As soon as you get warm, you're just done. Because, dude, it was bone chilling. My feet were because it was so cold from the ground coming up.
Tell you what, you need to come to Florida
Yeah,
out
dude.
of summer, and you tell me.
No thanks.
Yeah, you
Don't
come.
take this as me
Well, you
complaining.
can close
I
the
know it
garage.
sounds
We will
like
have
it.
you work in the garage and everything, and I'll tell you how fun that is.
Oh no!
And
thank
see if you
you.
want to trade.
No, thank you. This right now, this is hot. It's hot here. It's muggy.
This is mild.
Yeah, this is
This is
your
like-
weather.
This is our winter.
It's hot.
See, I'd rather
It's hot.
vacation cold if I had to see it. It's like if I want to see snow, I'll just go on vacation to see snow.
Yeah. I've only seen snow once.
I don't know if it's even in our own defense, but it snowed like 3 times here this past winter. It was a very mild winter. I had to use the snow blower like twice.
So
Sorry.
everyone says Wisconsin, now granted I'm sure as you go further north, but winter for me here is not near as bad as it was where I'm from. For sure.
Central Illinois.
Yeah, mind you, I had a 4-wheel drive pickup truck before I moved up here.
You guys drop salt here?
Yeah, that's why cars around here don't last.
I don't blame you.
This car came out of Washington.
So where I grew up, Rob, it was for every inch of snow, there's that of drifts. I'm from like farm country. Flat ground, you can see for 15 miles in every direction. No trees, it's flatter than hell. So if the road ever dips, it will fill immediately to the level of the ground outside of it. I mean, it was insane. Also, up here, there's so much more traffic. Same with, again, you don't get snow, but the road holds the heat. To where up here, the roads aren't ever accumulating. To where I'm from, they're frozen. You might get one car to drive over the road that you're going to drive on every 3 hours, you know? Once it's plowed once, the snow drifts right back over it. You know, it was way different down there. Like,
You ever the occasional black ice?
yes, and like people talk about it up here, it's like
You don't know.
you know, it is legitimately the color of the road because it was never disturbed, and it froze, and it is perfectly see-through. So it is the color of the road because you see the road. You know, you don't notice that there's anything
You know,
on it.
funny story about black ice. My grandfather lived like on the border of West Virginia and Virginia.
Okay.
He had a cabin out there. One time he was going out there in the winter and he had a Porsche. He set the cruise control in the Porsche. He had black ice and all of a sudden his speedometer went from I think it was like 70 to 100, and he did a fucking spin. He said, "Yeah, I'm never doing that again." Driving his Porsche out there with the cabin.
All right.
I would prefer driving in the snow than driving in like a torrential downpour.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Except it's so bright.
Driving in the snow?
Yes. It is
That's
so
a- that's
bright.
a-
It can be-
that's
it can
an
be pretty
experience
majestic, too.
I don't want to experience
Driving in the snow?
driving in the snow.
Man, it can
Get a
be
little hairy.
wild.
The
Yeah.
first snow day of every year, you're gonna see 6 accidents everywhere you go.
Guaranteed.
You know?
It's like when it rains in Florida.
And it's the same, as I'm sure you know, it's the same spot every time. You're going to get in your
It's
car,
always around a bend.
you're going to go to work, you're going to get on the highway, and as soon as you get on that highway, on that entrance ramp, there's going to be
There's gonna be
just
someone in
tire tracks going down. Just going down your whole way around that bend. You're just like cruising at like 15 miles an hour, going slow as shit, while the guy behind you is slamming on the horn, going sideways.
God.
Yeah, Wisconsin winters.
And people don't realize 4-wheel drive doesn't matter on ice.
Yeah,
No, it does not.
You
yeah,
know?
it doesn't. 4-wheel
Doesn't
drive
change
doesn't
the
stop you. Yeah, it doesn't stop you any faster.
The worst vehicle I've ever had for the winter was the Ranger. Gosh, was that thing just terrible.
Zero weight in the
It
back.
couldn't stop for nothing, dude. The red line was pretty terrible too. It just did this.
Yee!
Straight left. Single tire fire car.
So what's the comment say?
Eli says that he'd take the cold over the heat any day.
Yeah.
The cold, sure. The snow and the wind with it. Like, I'm not a very big guy. I don't
Your
care.
wife says hi.
I don't care
Hey, honey.
how many layers I have on. That wind is chilling my bones.
Yeah. No.
Chili Willy.
I can imagine. I was in Chicago.
Shane says anyone can rap, that it just takes practice and
My
some
first time I
vinyl.
came to Chicago, my brother-in-law was graduating from the Navy.
Okay.
We came in January. Like in
Yep.
the dead of winter in January.
Yep.
And the wind chill was like -20. I almost died.
Dude, I'm outside working in that, and it's like,
No way.
there are times
I
where
had to go
after
from,
a
like,
job,
building
my
to building.
hand is legitimately stuck
Yeah.
like this, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Feels like you have
You can keep
arthritis.
that
and stuff.
nonsense. You can keep that nonsense.
It's terrible.
Yeah, you keep it.
Do you know the story of how I got the car?
No, what's up?
So, it went from Shane to Brett Job.
Yeah.
From Brett Job to Cameron Bennett? Something like that?
Mhm.
From Texas. He listed the car. I had the orange auto car at the time, if you ever saw that one.
Vaguely.
He listed it and was like, dude, I'll sell my car, and if I can sell it, I'll come buy it. Ended up getting a buyer for my car pretty quick, and he had removed the post. And I'm like, I messaged him, and I was like, dude, I will not haggle. I will give you.
I'll come right down there
I'll
right now.
give you your asking price. I was like, but again, I'm a worry bee, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't want to drive it home from Texas.
I don't blame you.
You know, he
It's
was
a
like,
long trip.
I was like, so here's what I'll offer. I will pay for your plane ticket. If you drive it halfway, I will meet you halfway. I'll fly there. We'll do an exchange. You fly home. I'll drive the car home. So he drove from San Antonio, Texas to Kansas City, Missouri. I met him at the airport. He was like running late.
I can imagine.
So I legitimately, I already knew where his terminal was. So I have like the video and everything. I walked up to the car. He got out. Didn't even have really time to like greet each other. You know, he's getting his stuff out of the back. I didn't even do a walk around of the car. Like, had no idea. It was just like, here you go. Your terminal's right in there to your left. Like, see ya, dude. I get in. 0 gas until I'm 85. I'm like, oh my, this is gonna be fun. You know, but he did have a 5-gallon thing of it in the car. So it's like, at least I got that, you know.
Yeah, at least you got the 5 gallons to get out of there.
Got right by the airport, I fueled it up, started driving home, and was nervous as all hell. It's like, I got an 8-hour drive home in a car, like, a car has to prove itself to me before I will drive it at any distance like that. It has, me and him are on day one, you know, like, I was
You and
nervous.
me, bud.
We're doing this. I
We're
was
doing
doing
this.
this. All get out. I don't think I even tried to hit boost until I was like within an hour home.
Oh, you were afraid. As soon as it hit boost, it would dump out. Or
You know, something would happen. You know, and right when I, like I said, get within reason, like I could tow it. Worst case scenario. Now.
I'll blow the bottom out of it, and right here, I'll be fine.
It's wet. Math's wet. Car's like, oh, I'm like, oh no. This is not good. Not good.
And the nightmare
You
begins.
know, like I should have, because I was on the fence. It was like I was about to try to big turbo the orange car, or take the extra money that I had and buy this car. And it finally cleared up. The car cleared up. I hit boost and was like, okay, this is cool. The first time the gate opened though. I'm shifted. Like, nope, what was that? You know, that was a lot. You know, like
quick shift.
Like that was some noise, and I was always like,
I asked you the first time riding your car, like, dude, what the hell is that sound? You're like, dude, that's the sound of a big turbo.
and I know like the first time, once I because it was so fresh to me, and then right away I blew out the turbo to manifold gasket. So I was like, if I'm gonna pull this turbo, I'm gonna put in the one I want to put in. So I ended up doing a deal with another guy from Texas. There was somebody selling a full turbo kit. They didn't want to part it out. He wanted everything but the turbo. I only wanted the turbo. Me and him made a deal. I was like, I will go pick it up. I'll purchase everything, and I'll ship you the turbo kit. And then I offered him my turbo, the 6262. He was friends with Cameron. So he was like, yeah, let's make a deal. So I ended up, in a sense, I feel like I got paid maybe a couple $100 to get the turbo that I wanted on there. Put the S252 on it, and then that was really the first time I actually was given the car hell. And the first time staying in boost, like the whole RPM to redline, I wasn't sure because the hood dump's right in the middle of the hood. It's like, this thing's fucking fast. I wasn't sure, am I getting tunnel vision? And then I realized,
no,
that's the heat from the turbo.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's fast enough that I'm feeling like I might be getting a little better vision here, you know?
Well,
and
the small window doesn't help.
Right.
It does turn it into a
small
tunnel.
window.
And every
Yeah.
time I give somebody a ride, they're like, hold on, I gotta get a video of this. Like, so every video I have is from other people that their ride, and they're like, oh, I gotta get a video, Like,
You're the absolute worst when it comes to documenting anything you do.
terrible.
I'm pretty bad too.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's not true. What you do with TikTok is great.
The TikTok videos, the edits, I can bang those out. In a couple
I
minutes.
get flustered with it.
Well, I mean, we got time. Again, I don't have enough time. I would walk you through whole tutorial. I can set you up.
I have 300 subscribers on TikTok.
Bro, send me some videos. I'll make you some bangers.
It's crazy.
I love doing it.
But I also don't do anything with the car for the last year except it's sitting in the garage.
I didn't, and I still make videos.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Taking it out in the sunlight.
Yeah, I mean, take it out of the garage. At least just let us sit out there, take a couple pictures, send them to me, and I'll make you a good banger.
Yep. cannot.
I'm willing to help.
Whatsoever.
I mean, I'm helping with Burns' car. I mean, I can help you.
Yeah. I'll send you my motor next.
So let's talk
no,
about
keep,
that.
keep. You can keep it.
Let's talk about that. So you are building Burnaby's car that has been. So let this be known that when we went to dinner tonight, Burnaby was with us. Burnaby came up here and met us for dinner and hung out for a little bit. Look, Burnaby's car went from shop to shop. His car, he's got very specific goals that he has in mind for his car. He's had parts built. He's gone through turbos. He's bought brand new parts, sold them, bought other brand new parts, sold them, bought other brand new parts. I know because I've bought some of them from him.
It's an ongoing,
It's an ongoing process. So when you and I talked about this earlier, and you said that it was basically a joke that you said for him to send you the car, and he took you up on that. When you accepted that, what was your? Did you have any concerns about that? Were you afraid of that he might have? I mean, from the outside looking in, I would see Burnaby as having very high expectations and wanting things done a very specific way, which I can very much appreciate. Is that pressure on you? Like, what do you think about?
Oh no, I mean I keep him constantly updated. When I got his car, it was.
The bar wasn't set very high. It didn't seem like.
No, when I got his car was. I mean, you can tell it sat for a little. Well, I mean, for a long time.
Yeah.
And okay, let's start at the beginning. I was just joking with him in the group text. I was like, you know what, Bern? I'm tired of seeing the car not finished. Like you're moving on to another shop because this one doesn't have time to do the build, or whatever the reasons were. I mean, that was what it is.
It is what it is.
So I was like, you know, dude, instead of sending it to another shop and taking another chance for it sitting in the back of the shop and collecting dust, I flat out told him, I was like, send it my way. I mean, I got my car. At that point, I wasn't messing around. I was like at a stopping point, kind of, which is false. There's no such thing as a stopping point when it comes to wanting a car. Yeah. We were just joking around.
Caught up with your current ideas.
Yeah.
That's a good way
Well,
of
yeah,
saying it.
that's a good way of saying it. I like that. I would make a stick
Caught
out
up
of
with
that.
your current idea.
Yeah. I was joking around and said, hey, just send it to me, man. I'm tired of hearing it's going to be done. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's get moving. So he's like, okay, bet. He called me on my bluff, and then, joking aside, but, yeah, he literally a week or two showed up to my doorstep, and I was like, wow, it's happening.
Right. It's here.
So I was like, okay, well, let's do this. I'm gonna go get some tools. And I mean, the guy who dropped the car off. I mean, the car was sitting like this because there's no engine in the front. I had to push that thing up my driveway with the motor trans in the back. It took me at least a week to pull all the parts that were stuffed in the car, clean the car out because it was pretty dirty because it sat for a while. So I started building it. I put the bottom end together. I took a machine shot to make sure everything was good. Didn't want to take any chances. I don't want to put a motor in the car and all of a sudden there's no oil pressure, there's knocking. I just wanted to make sure it was 100% from the get-go. I know what's in there. It's balanced, rotated, the whole nine. The bearing clearances were on par. So I got back in the machine shop, I built the top end, I put the timing all together, timed it 5 or 4 times because for some reason it wasn't clicking. Because I was like, oh yeah, if I could just, crank it over, I could double check my time works. But apparently with the variable valve timing, you can't do that. You're supposed to set it and forget it, basically. Because it takes like
It's
100
multiple
rotations.
100 rotations for it to get back where it was. And I was
Right.
like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So I had to retime it 3 times to peace of mind, make sure it was perfect. But no, it's gonna be a beast when it's done. Like the stuff he's got in there, it's gonna rival my car.
So, and I know I reached out to you when it was kind of announced that you took possession of his car to finish the build and get it done for him. I know I reached out to you and said to you, like, I thought it was very cool that you were doing that. That for as long as I had known Byrne being in the scene, it was a lot of him talking and showing pictures of it going from one shop to another. It was a lot of other people not getting the car done for him because, as we know, he works. He works a lot. He's not able to do what he wants to do on his own.
He can't, he's got so much going on. It's impossible for him to.
And I give him credit for continuing to want to get something done with the car.
I give Byrne a lot of credit for not giving up.
Right.
For not giving up.
A lot of people would have given up
and sold the car off.
Parted out. Just
motivation.
Yeah, that's the only thing that sucks about when you have to have somebody else do what your vision is. It's hard because you always get lost in translation because they want to do it a certain way because they know what they're doing and all that. I was just tired of seeing a good friend getting passed around and
struggle.
And I was afraid. I think he said to me, he's like, if I don't get this car done, it's done. I'm over it. And he's like, it's a long time for a car to be down. Of course, I know people who've had their cars down for like 10 years, 12 years, trying to get their stuff done.
Hopefully, she's not one.
That's what I do not want to have happen either.
Right. And that's why I give him credit for shipping the car off to you. I give you credit for you're doing something for him that Joe would do for me or I would do for Joe. And you're way the hell down there.
Yeah.
And
working on 2 cars by myself.
Working on 2 cars by yourself. You just moved into your house. You had that beautiful ass driveway that's like
everyone talks about that.
My God, that driveway is beautiful. Yeah. And you got your wife who's out there actually letting you potentially stain that driveway with like motor oil. You're a lucky guy. I mean, I thought it was very admirable of you to take on the project because what I knew of you like things a certain way. You're very particular. Burnaby likes things a very certain way. He's very particular.
Well,
he's not able to do it.
Yeah.
When you took that on, I was like, holy shit, like I can see the light at the end of Burns Tunnel now that you have the car. And I thought that was really cool that you took that on and trying to help him out.
Right now, his car's in stopping because we're waiting on a fabricator because I just don't have the energy or time to do the fabrication.
I mean, it's a realistic stance.
Well, we're trying to, the certain way we want to do his turbo is just going to have to take some brain power and just the bandwidth to figure it out. I have to sit down with somebody and just bounce it off of them and figure it out. But no, that's where we're at right now. Like motors in the car, I redid the AC. AC's 100% brand new. That was fun. Doing that. And getting everything together on the car, I could just see it come together and just.
I mean, what the pictures that you posted of the build that you were doing, everybody could see that.
It was just coming together. It's just like. Now the transmission's in the car, the twin disc. I mean, this car has all the dream items I want.
Yeah, I liked seeing him being posted and the pictures you were posting because I mean, for me, like I see that as not that other people are out there doing shit work. It's a small community. Mm-hmm. The HHR community is a small community. Not everybody out there is putting in the effort that I feel like I put into my own car, that Joe puts into his car, that you clearly have put into yours, that Eli has put into his car, that Matthew put into his car, and the details that he did.
Jason.
All of these guys that have done things, that have done really cool things that, there's not a big community out there. So to see there not be like, not being a Game of Thrones type thing, and just like the helping out and the lending of favors and reaching out type stuff.
I mean, we pretty much small castle if we did Game of Thrones thing.
Right. It would be a very small
castle.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm thinking of Borat right now. I'm the king of the castle. I'm the king of the castle. I got the chair. I got the chair. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's funny. So I have a question for you. In in
No.
your opinion,
Just kidding.
what are like the top 3 builds that you've seen in the HHR community? No Cobalts, just the HHRs.
Oh, jeez. It's hard. You put me on the spot there. I don't like big
I mean, I firmly believe your car is going to be in that list.
Okay.
So that narrows you down to 2.
No. I don't include myself when I pick other like
Okay.
I don't
All right,
I don't
well,
like to
Okay.
I know. But one of the biggest influence I had when first starting out was Phil. You know, Mac Dr. Phil
Mhm.
with his orange HHR. I met him in
The
Virginia.
Dragon Wagon, right?
Yeah. That thing's fun. That thing's so fun. He's got a full roll cage. Me and my buddy rode with him. My buddy had to ride in the back of the roll cage. I have
Seeing the roll
videos.
cage in that
Yeah,
car
he
is
was
what
like-
inspired me to do
well,
harness bars.
Yeah, no, his roll cage was amazing. He did phenomenal work on that part. It's a shame that he's more focused on his top fuel dragsters right now. I mean, his S10 is amazing.
Yeah, I've seen the
It's
work you did with
disgusting.
that.
It's
Yeah.
so badass. I would love to ride. I'm coming.
Hmm.
I'm coming, Phil. The Turbo Kid was like he was the first one to do a sidewinder on his car. So he did the I think he did the passenger side. I did the driver's side. So he was like he had the passenger side done, but he didn't do it like a twin scroll because I wanted everything. I wanted top of the line. I wanted
Sure.
to make sure I didn't lose any power. And he had his from the manifold tubed up, and the turbo was sitting right there in that little area where the windshield washer fluid would be.
Mhm.
That's where his turbo would sit. It would pop out the hood, and he took me around for it. I was sold. I had to do that. That was my that was the mod that had to be end all be all.
So you've been in that car.
Yeah,
Where at?
in Virginia. That thing ripped. I loved it. It
We
was
should
so
take-
loud.
We should have taken the car.
Yeah, you should.
We should have.
Should have. I needed it.
Yeah, I know the first time I saw the pictures of his car blowing the fireball out of the hood. That's
Yeah,
like-
with his slicks on.
like,
It was
it's like the picture of his car.
Mhm.
When I first saw that picture, I was like, "There's no way this is real.
And his
Like,
white-
there's no way
Did
this
you ever
is
see
coming
his,
from an
uh,
HHR."
Did you ever see his white hexagon camo wrap he
Yes.
had?
Yep.
Oh, I love that setup.
I
That
think
thing
I've
was
seen
nice.
pictures of that, but didn't know that
It
was
was
the
long.
same car.
Me
It
neither.
was that was
I didn't know
long.
that was the same car.
That was the same.
Like
car.
multicolor shapes, but a white car.
No, it was white with like hexagon camo.
Right.
I have the like.
Yeah,
I
the
have
hex.
this.
Yeah, what color?
It was white with like
Shades. Yeah.
like different shades, different color
Yeah.
shades. Almost like it wasn't digital camo. It was more like hexagon with like kind of digital camo. But it was. I love that. I love that car.
We could have fed that to my father.
Right.
That was the first HHR person I met outside of my up Florida.
Awesome.
You said 3, right?
Yeah.
So, oh, actually, a little sidetrack. Shane. I saw Shane in Florida when he went down to get the CTSV. I saw him, like, I was going down south, he was going back north because he picked up the car and drove back. I saw him on Turnpike heading back all the way here. I was like, wait a minute, I know that car. Oh, he did sell it. And it was Shane. I was like, did you buy a CTSV? He's like, yeah. I just saw you drive by. Because that thing was a monster. That thing was. Did you ever see his CTSV?
Yeah.
That thing was disgusting.
That was a dope car.
Man.
I didn't see it in person, but I remember when he got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that helped motivate me on my car too. Because like coming from the red lines, I had done like a custom hood and spoiler and stuff like that on that car, and it was like in the community dude like the legend, you know. So it was like that was pretty cool. And then once I bought that, it's like, oh, that's Shane's car. It's like, okay, I'll show you. You know, it's like, no, this is
Well, and I think that's something that you and I have talked about in the past too. Like, you didn't buy it from Shane. Shane wasn't the previous owner. Shane wasn't the previous owner.
right.
Shane was the dude that put the car together in a form that gave it recognition, and it kept that recognition until it got to you. And it was, I mean, for better or for worse, the other guys that had the car, they didn't change the wrap, they kept the car the same.
Yeah.
And it continued to look like the car that Shane built.
Yeah.
It continued to be Shane's car. Everybody knew Shane's car. It was Rob's car and Shane's car.
Right.
And at the time, it was the Vader SS when it was black way back in the day. And then he went to red and did the famous night shoot with the side profile of the car
That
and the
made me-
glitter wrap.
And his red wrap, I fell in love with that look with the gold.
Yeah.
It just
So whenever I bought the car, I was under the impression, because I'm not a fan of red, I was like, the weekend I bring it home, I'm gonna be
Red
pulling
was-
the wrap off. You know, I was like, it's black underneath. I like black. You know, I saw it and was like, this is awesome.
that red color was
You know,
astounding.
same thing with the white, but the red still was.
I mean, people referred to it as the strip of glitter SS. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it looked like.
That's what should have been named.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it fit it very well. But yeah, I know that was something that you were very adamant about getting away from. Not in spite of Shane or any reason. You wanted the car to be your own, and you wasted no time. Not taking what Shane had done out of the car, but just simply putting what you wanted into the car, making the changes that, I mean,
Well,
you could put the two next to each other, and they're two completely different vehicles.
yeah, I mean, anything, there is not, the only thing that I haven't touched is the 6-speed and the bags. There's nothing else on the car that came with it.
And there would be no reason for you
Good.
to do either of those.
You had a good starting point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it boiled down to what I sold the orange car for. I basically had to pick one, either the bags or the big turbo set, like to get there. You know, like I sold the orange car and basically needed like $2,900 or more to get. So basically, I had also, because I had to align so many stars to make it all happen, I put up a deposit down with him, so he knew. It's like I sent him like $3,500. It's like, here, I will send you the money. Like, I'll give you the remainder in cash. Because it was planned weeks out, I had ordered wrapped the spoiler that I had already made for the orange car, or it made me finish it because it wasn't finished. It never went on the orange
The
car.
grill.
The grill was on the orange car, but I wrapped it. Same with the front splitter. So the weekend I brought it home, I was automatically able to drop the diffuser, or the front splitter, the grill, and the spoiler on the car.
Yeah, that grill, man.
I like the grill.
I have
It's like my, it's like
Yeah.
my jet plane.
Yeah, it's
looking-
pretty cool.
When you got
That's
the car,
pretty cool.
did you do the ZL1 hood?
Yes.
We did that here.
You know, I was thinking about it when you
Beat you.
you beat me to it.
Beat you, bitch!
I wanted to do that so bad, but I had the cutout in the hood right there. I was like, fuck, this ain't gonna work.
Yep. So it had the SS in it when I bought it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, no, I gotta change that. It's something I didn't do that. You know, I did it on my orange car, but it's been done 10 times. And I think
We changed the dump tube too.
Mhm.
We put a teardrop in there.
I think the only thing that has helped that be the only one so far is like the SS one's like under $100 for the insert,
Yeah.
Like $60.
you know, and that one's just more money. I feel like that's legitimately it. I mean, it is like way too long, but I mean, trim that back. you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I love that insert. I think it would look good with a little bit of a cowl under it too.
Yeah,
So we
raise
talked
it
about
up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Just like an inch, nothing crazy. We'll see how everything fits once the other way. Because that's the one thing I haven't felt confident yet is bolting the motor to that trans with the steering rack still in the car and seeing how it fits. You know,
Like I said, you gotta get them feet wet.
you know, I'm open to losing whatever the hell I have to lose because it is legitimately a fun car for me.
also to the people out there who are like afraid to get your hands dirty or jump right in or like don't know where to start, just do something. Don't overthink it. Just start with something small and work your way up. I mean, there's so much information out there. I mean, it can be jarring too. Like where the hell am I going to start? Start with the basics, bolt-ons, basic things, and then once you get comfortable with that stuff, you start venturing out into the big stuff.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I was working on the red car, and I put the drill bit to the hood to drill that first hole in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was something, you know, I shaved my Blazer and I did that, but like that was, I bought that truck with intentions of doing all of that. This car, I was making payments on this car. Like the bank owned it.
Yeah, it's a bank's
you know?
car. You sure about
Like
that?
this is the bank's car. Like I'm doing mods that like I might not have any business doing. I don't know how well this was gonna turn out. And I specifically remember being out here that night. The video of doing the SS scoop started during the daylight in my driveway and ended at night in the garage because the time distance between there was when I cut the hole, and I had a fucking anxiety attack in between them. And I had to put it down and I had to walk away, and it was just like, it was so overwhelming to take that first step. And
When you get
in my
into it-
HHR experience, that's the only time that's happened. With this car, like,
Oh, what's today's agenda?
like we didn't even wait to cut into the roof. Like, we couldn't wait. Like there was no hesitation. I don't think there was any hesitation.
No,
I think we
you
just
were
cut
like,
it.
should we measure it? I'm like, no, we already did once. Like, it's good. And then I remember there's some times where like I don't know. It's his channel. I try not to be. I don't know what he'd like out of me. Like, it's like, should I say this right now? Because I'm seeing a line and it looks fucking terrible.
Yeah.
You know? Like our wives were out there and I stepped off camera and I looked at her and I'm like, I gave her like a head shake, like, oh no, and she's like, what? And I was like, I just did that, you know. But and then I got thinking, it's like, no, it's an optical illusion. We didn't cut the skin. Like, he bought it with the skin trimmed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we made the template off the cut on the skin. So if that line's wonky, that's what we went off of. And then also the HHR gets narrow as you go back, whereas the glass is straight. So that offset makes it look bad, and then they're not symmetrical, and I'm just like, oh no. Like, there's going to be some patches. You know? And it just, once we dropped it in there, we had to even like get it tightly, and it's dropped in, C-channeled in. I mean, it is. We cut out like what, the thinnest of all braces, and then that one's twice as thick in between the glass now. Like,
Yeah, the brace that we cut out in the roof of the car, we're basically replacing it with the brace in between the two pieces of glass on the roof, and it's like a beefier structure.
yeah.
So we're definitely not losing any structure. We're adding weight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're gonna need it. It's a very structural point.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was a little worried about. We had talked about bracing the car, bracing the inside of the car before we cut the roof into it, but that too, the car has no suspension on it.
So it's not gonna.
It's sitting
it's
on
not gonna-
3.5-inch wood blocks on a flat concrete surface that's level.
Yeah.
So
it's not like when you weld that thing in there and then when you put the suspension on, it's not gonna.
Right.
and we didn't cut anything, we cut the post out of the B pillar, but like we didn't cut anything out to let the car sag out. You know what I mean? It's not like the issues that we could have run into if we were like, chopping the top.
We just remove the sheet metal on the top
Yeah.
first.
You guys see anything we got comments before we get any deeper?
Has got anything out here? What do you got? What do you got? Eli flew to San Diego to pick mine up and drove 12 hours home. That's
God bless you.
insane.
Yeah.
Jesus. We can always put on
Yeah, I
more
dated your
clothes.
plan
We
first
can
year.
only take off so much.
Sure.
Oh, Eli's talking about the heat.
Did you ever see anything of my red line?
No, did not.
That was a really nice setup. It was like the TBS bigger blower car on the just because it was a Saturn, and I made like a really cool, really proud of how that hood looked at first, you know. But it had like the BBS arcade 2s, I believe. So they were the 2-piece wheel.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up having like ONF Cobalt seats. They were the black and gray setup. I had the red suede installed instead of the gray.
Installed.
It's
And it installed.
I mean, went to an upholsterer, you know, and had them upholster in the red suede.
I have to ask, since you've experienced a supercharged car and a turbo car, what is your preference?
Well, the S252 was no different to me than the TVS. It was immediate, just like the KO4s. The KO4s are, there is no, if anyone says anything about lag on a
Lag with the
KO4
KO4,
car,
they're talking out their ass.
they just don't have the right tuning.
Yeah.
Either,
Or they're,
you know?
yeah.
They're not requesting more, the boost whenever they're asked, you know, it's the TVS car, they're both fun. Turbo noises for the win.
Yeah.
The exhaust sounds better.
Better, yes.
There is something about it, the whine.
The
of the
uniqueness
supercharger.
of
I
the
don't know,
blower
man.
was cool.
There's nothing like a good wine.
You know, and I had
With some
learned from
cheese.
like the
Since we're in Wisconsin.
I had learned from the Mustang crowd that they had like, I don't remember what they called it, but it was like a tube from your intake and it brings the noise into the cabin. So I created one of those, you know, and it basically made it even louder in the car, which again, it was cool, and because it sounds like a terribly bad power steering, you know, and it was in a Saturn like that, I had run them for a plate. Like that car was a lot of fun, and I was very new. Like whenever I had that car, I knew nobody up here, so that's what brought me into the whole community in the first place. Was I met people because of the car. I seriously knew my in-laws here. That was it. So having that car was a lot of fun, and I quickly, because of that car, it quickly became like, oh, now you got to run this car. So it was like I quickly became part of a fast group here. Like I'm in this group chat that I have no business being in. They all bet like high dollar money, like, and I always tell them that I change my name in the group to like slowest car in conversation, you know, because it's like, my car, if I were to take it out Monday through Friday, I'm honestly not going to find much faster on the road. If I take it out to the city on Friday night or Saturday night, I'm big. You know, it's like there's high horsepower cars out there. It's like,
street racing in Chicago is exactly like you see it on TV.
you know, they lie.
They
They
make it
are
out to
they
you.
are hustlers. Like, I am not a bullshitter. You know, like, because I don't
Lock
want
it in and let's go.
I don't want to come off either that like I'm being cocky. It's like I have no ego. I'm driving an HHR. You know, like I am not. I'm just telling you, it is faster than you're gonna imagine. It's like, so if we're being honest with each other, I'll tell you if I think I'm gonna beat you or not. But I don't want you. I don't want to come off that I think this is the coolest thing here. It's like I ended up here. This wasn't like I'm gonna build an HHR. You know, I had it
I
as
think we've all had it. It's
You
like,
know?
I didn't think I'd be here, but I'm here.
yeah.
This was on a journey I didn't
It's
expect
been
myself.
snowballing. The reason why my whole rear-wheel drive swap came about is because it came to a point where the car reached, like I said, reached a platform where I was like, okay, I don't really have much else I'd do to it, and it became just a fun car and a garage car for me. So it's like, I can't really justify for me fun car being front-wheel drive and
Boredom is the enemy.
you know and
It's
doing
like you just get so used to a setup and you're like,
and like.
it's one of
I'm
those
very
things.
competitive with the in-laws, you know,
Mhm.
and like my brother-in-laws, they have like my father-in-law has a 1320 Challenger, my brother-in-law has an SS Camaro. It's like when we're on the tollway, I am training them. But if I catch them on a light, like they're gonna get me, you know, and
Big monsters.
they can always say that, you know, like at the end of the day, and that bothers me. So it's like, man, I'm gonna build a cool car. I'd love a V, ATS or CTS. But let's say I were to buy one right now, 40 grand. and it might even have 60,000 miles. Like, I'd have to finance that. I'm not gonna lie. So it's like, by the time that's paid off, I'd already need a motor, something.
You're going to move on to the next stage of debt.
You know, and it's like right now I have no car payments, so it's like
that's nice.
And it just happened last weekend. My wife's trip paid off. Fresh into no car payments. 3 cars all paid off. But it's like, so I could take the HHR, and let's say in a perfect world I would actually get a decent amount for it, which that would be like waiting and waiting and waiting. And I've said the number to you, and you think I'm crazy, but it's like I feel like I think I'm crazy for even would be asking that, and you think it's like too low. It's like, but I would have no hesitation if somebody brought me 15 grand. Like, I'll take it, you know. But then until I start thinking like I'd have to spend another 20 or 30,000.
15 grand, cash in hand, would not replace what that car can do for you.
Right.
As it sits.
And I just kept realizing that it's like, man, it's just financially I could, and I felt like if I were to dump 10 into it, it could be awesome, everything I want. And I'm in it so far. I have everything I need except the clutch and the drive shaft, which the drive shaft won't be known until after. But I have everything I need for it for under 3 grand. You know, like the trans, the bag setup, because I already have the new setup for the rear. Like I have everything but a clutch, which the clutch is pricey. Probably the same as the twin disc for the F40. It's like $1,800 for the clutch and flywheel.
So I can't disclose that information.
You know, holy cow. You know, I'm not
Happy wife, happy life. Let's not talk about that.
No, Bern had the twin disc, and he's the one who dumped a pretty penny. I can't disclose that,
Right.
that information, but he did.
Yeah.
He's got the dream setup I wanted, so that's probably one of the bonuses why I took on the job. So we'll see how this goes there. So.
Right. I'm hoping my F40 kit, whenever I sell it, I hope that that's my clutch and maybe drive shaft. You know, like
It might be a chance.
that's the only thing I want out of it.
Just don't let me
That.
know.
For real.
And I don't know how, you know, I don't know how easily that does sell. I don't know, like, you don't, not like you see very many.
Okay,
F40
the only thing that's holding me up from doing an F40 swap is I build my turbo kit around the F35. So the way it's positioned, it clears the weights on the shift forks or the shift linkages.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if the F40 is taller,
Right.
but my turbo sits right there, and my drain line comes right down.
Right.
So it's gonna be like one of those, like, I'm gonna have to tear it apart, see if it fits.
Right.
So that's the only thing holding me up from doing the swap. I was gonna be one of those guys who ride the F35 until it dies.
Mm-hmm.
Been there. Mine died.
I treat mine like glass, though.
Do you?
Yeah.
The F40 is, I always describe it as it's very notchy in a good way. It almost feels like it'd be gated, you know? Like I've never driven a gated car, but it's very, like it's, the stock shifter is awesome, you know? Like it is an awesome trans. I like it.
I can't wait. I can't wait to feel that in here.
I think it'll be cool to see if the Saab versus Regal, being that you'll have the same turbo setup, will appeal any.
I want to see, like, I mean, if I had money, I would love to do like a comparison between
The two trans.
Right. Like I said, I have
what
the
can
Saab
take
set
the
up.
abuse, what can't take the abuse.
Because what, they say that the Saab trans is better for like
The
quarter
gears
mile?
are longer in the Saab trains than the Regal. I think it's shorter gears.
That'll be one thing I'll be able to play with a little bit more with the rear-wheel drive setup.
Yeah.
I've already found like a calculator and everything to figure out what RPMs
you
or what,
see when you're
but first gear is going to be short for sure.
blow them
'Cause
tires.
well,
You're
I'm
gonna
a-
need some sticky ass tire.
Well, I'm running a 409 rear gear,
God,
you know, so
such an odd number too.
yeah.
409s.
But like I'll be able to, if I
Too
want
short
to,
of
I can
411s.
use like 350Z diffs and everything, you know. So it's like I should be able to play with that within a lot of reason, you know, not have to be reinventing the wheel. That'll be cool.
It's gonna be such a wild car.
I will be. I will
When is that
apologize.
project gonna start? 'Cause
I want to.
You're gonna record it, right? You're gonna record everything.
Whenever he's around.
Whenever he's around, you're gonna have to record.
You can
it.
find that build on AHdidit here on YouTube. Like, share,
Yeah.
and subscribe.
So I brought up to him maybe last week or something, one idea, because I'm wanting to schedule a time, we trailer the car to the drag strip and see what happens. Once that's done, I would like to have the motor and everything pulled before it becomes winter. So that way in winter I can be cutting and mocking up. Because I really don't want it to be a 5-year deal, you know. I would like it to be rolling after winter. You know, like by winter's end, I want to be able to push it out on the wheels. Because
I see why not.
I would think that staying LNF and everything, like, and even knowing which direction the wiring harness is coming from, I'm turning the motor towards the harness. As long as I'm clearing the fuse box but I mean, I've measured them. They're basically a square with the manifolds and everything. It's like, I've done so much thinking that's, you know, like, I feel like it's gotta be fine, you know, other than, like I said, testing the motor and the trans into the engine bay, over the rack, you know. But like I said, I'm okay with having it up. If I have to cowl the hood, I'll do that. I just don't want to have to reinvent the steering. Like, I know that Cody that did it to the Cobalt, he said he put it under it. Well, I'm not going to have room for under bags. But what I also have seen, like the LS1s or LS swap HHR do, was they notched the subframe and dropped it into the subframe. Because I'm keeping the front subframe in there just so that way I don't have to redo the front suspension.
Yeah. Starting from scratch. From front
Right.
to back.
But I mean, if I have to modify the subframe, whatever, it's not. So with his help, I'm pretty confident.
Hey, look, man, you're so strong.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, we've talked about his car so many times, and he sent me pictures of things, and we've, you know.
Like, I didn't choose that subframe by accident.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I had kept looking and looking and looking. I'd get measurements. I did not want to have to
mounts
do
of
wide
that
body.
rear subframe.
The measurements were those.
line up
Back
with-
and rear, man. It looks like you were gonna have a lot more room than the
They-
stock I did.
Yeah, so it's 3/4 of an inch narrower on each side.
Good.
So
Do a little mini tub.
yes, which is why I have those strut towers. I'm hoping to be able to just integrate
Cut
that
it off
portion.
there and tub it over.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done some pretty difficult shit that we get done with, and it's like, man, that was a lot easier than we thought. The roof, I mean,
Only the person holding up the whole thing is you.
And I mean,
yeah, hey,
Rob, it's so close that there's 4 mounting points on the rear subframe. The rear 2 are the easiest for us to do because no matter what, they land between the factory unibody frame rails.
Yeah.
So it's like make a cross member,
Bolted in.
done.
Yeah.
Those 2 are cake. You know, the front ones land almost exactly where the rear beam mounts, to where
those triangular
Like it was like meant
plates.
to be.
It's
to where we could
so
almost,
fucking close.
you know, we could almost modify the rear subframe to bolt up in that exact same spot. You know, like, and then like I said, as long as that's centered,
Only thing you have to keep track of is the tail shaft of that transmission and that line up.
right, within 3 degrees.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Got to keep that pinion angle.
And then and what's nice too is, I shouldn't need, like a slit, because being independent, that will never change. Whether the car's aired out or not, that rear diff angle will never change. So my next,
You're gonna have to put that thing in the car, put the suspension in, and then double check your travel.
yes, so that was my next thing is I have to, I would think the height of that rear subframe is where it needs to be mounted in the car is when, for like a little bit of anti-squat, I need the arms not level, but a little at a degree, and then where I want my ride height, and then that's where that subframe needs to
You're
be.
gonna have to probably do some adjustable links somewhere.
They're all
So
adjustable.
you're just gonna have to
Everything is.
work it from back and forth, up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
So
Every
so
arm on that.
There's no doubt about it.
Right. Yeah. Every single arm on that rear subframe, because it's like the drifting car of all time. You know, is a joke. Like, super awesome.
What did you pay for the body that we bought?
$150.
Good deal.
And it was that rear
It was
subframe, the rear cross piece in there, the rear cross member and all of that. The mounting
Strut
points,
towers,
the strut
yeah.
towers. That we had been going back and forth about for a couple weeks. Like, we're gonna have to figure out how to like mount the rear struts, have them positioned to then get measurements for like putting plates up there and mounting plates, and then like I have a 7-inch tube, steel tube
Yeah,
that
that
we were
gonna
going to
make
use,
towers
that
out
we
of.
were going to make strut towers out of. And it's like, then he hits me up with this link. He's like, dude, what do you think about this? And we just cut this out of the back of the car.
Right. I had messaged the guy and asking him like, "Hey, would you sell me the rear strut towers?" Like, that's all I wanted, because originally I was trying to look online to find just like a top hat, because then I knew that those would fit the new coil or bag of coilovers that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So I was legitimately just trying to find a top hat, whether it was like a coilover mount, whatever it was, but I wanted it to be steel so it could be easily welded into steel, you know? And I found this marketplace listing. I asked him about the strut towers, and then I was like, and if you could keep the bar that's going across, so then they're set to the exact width that I need for the rear subframe. Like, that takes one less thing of my thinking that has to be thought about. It's done. Let's put this in. And he was like, "Oh, I'll just cut the whole back half off if you want it." I'm like, yeah.
Like after the
And it just opened up the whole. Who knows? Like I said, I don't know if I'll use how much of that floor I'll use, but it's like
well, the best part.
having it.
The best part is you have that donut car, so you can already test fit everything.
Yep.
Like you're gonna test fit everything, and then you know where to cut on your car.
Right.
So you're not like cutting things out, welding patches back in
Right.
because you're too short on one side or you're too
And
long.
that car, that the parts car that's there.
There.
That's the one that we cut the rockers out of
So-
for Kevin's car. That car
It's
has
a temporary
literally
car.
been tossed around
Yeah.
between the three of us, and we've all
We were
pulled
gonna
parts out.
junk it, and then
We
I
were
was
gonna
like,
junk
"Dude,
it.
I'd love." And you offered, and you were like, "I mean, we could put it behind my mom's house." And I was like, "That would make my life so much better." You know, I've even thought about, Aaron, to be honest with you, having you, like, let's put that car in my garage first. I could park mine, and then we could put that in my garage, and I could start getting that fitted in.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know,
To where it's
measure
figured
twice,
out.
cut once. It's like,
On
no,
this
we're
car,
gonna
cut
measure
it, cut it,
twice,
cut
and
it.
we're gonna cut it twice to make sure that it fits right that second time perfectly. Just simply because we have the car that's already got the back half cut off.
You make templates out of everything.
Yeah. So then we know what to cut. Then we can cut it out of his car, and then just bring that whole thing up from the bottom. Because that was the other conversation. It's like, we're gonna have to be able to get this into the car through the back, either through the hatch or through the doors, and we're not gonna have any room to rotate it in the car. So that was a thought too. So then it's like, well, then we gotta bring it in from underneath. That solves our problem. If we cut it once in that car, we'll be able to, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
And, like we've talked about, like your spare tire well, like that's gone. So, it's like, oh, fucking big ass shiny muffler back there for people to see.
There you go.
Right, and I cut out those vents in the diffuser so that way when it is gone, I can do, because I want to do a single in, dual out.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for me?
Did you get all three cars out?
What do you mean?
It was Phil, Mad.
Oh, sorry. Phil, the red car. Red car was great. It was
I
nice.
love the whole
It was,
theme of that.
It was nice. And the story behind it was really great.
Thank you. Yeah, I was very proud of that car. I was super proud of it.
It was kind of, to toot your horn, it was kind of refreshing to see somebody else come up and start doing mods. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but when I've been in here for so long, it was like a bunch of old guys. There were some young guys, and I was like, I think it was the youngest, like 30 or something. I can't remember, but yeah, it was just me, Phil. I mean, there was other guys. I mean, Shield with it's now Brett's car, and no, it was refreshing to see someone take their own stance and do their own thing.
Yeah, thanks. I enjoyed that car. I love building it. I love the idea of
No, I like a lot of your ideas.
the GMC stuff. Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, you know, the performance stuff that I did to the car. I'd never done any performance to any car before. My Blazer is all stock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, performance has never really been a thing of mine.
Your mini trucker.
Yeah, mini truckers, straight up like visual mods that you can see. You're gonna see me before you hear me, before anything else. Yeah.
Anytime I open up mini trucker magazine, the engine's always the last one touched.
Yeah.
Everything else,
Yeah.
body. I mean, it's shaved, freshly painted. I mean, they spent. Like
And when they get to the engine at that point, if
last
it's the guys that do the engine on the mini trucks, it's like nowadays it's like if you're not gonna LS swap it, don't even bother. Don't even bother. Like, you know.
Make sure it's clean.
Yeah, just make sure it's clean and just be done with it. And that was kind of my thing. Like my engine bay in my Blazer was clean. When I got the SS, you know, and really just wanting a fun car to drive, I knew that was having the base model. I knew that was kind of a good entry platform. You know, everybody said that the SS was an easy car to work on. We brought them up earlier. I bought a downpipe from Johnny Wynn and contacted.
Always great pricing.
Yeah, from him.
Yeah.
He hooked me up on a bunch of shit.
Me too.
Got a downpipe from him, and then immediately called Tom Rominski from Great Engine Depot.
Yeah.
And you know, Great Engine Depot was local to me.
Yeah, Tom's a
and
great guy.
I brought him my car, and he invited me in. He showed me around the shop. Like I had friends that had worked for that dealership who knew Tom personally, so he didn't know who I was, but because I knew people that he knew, it was easy for him to talk to me or whatever. So we got to talking about my Blazer, and I showed him pictures of everything, and here I am dropping my car off after only having it for a week with a downpipe, the 3-bar map sensors, and the stage kit, right? And having him put it on there, and I paid him to do it. And when I picked the car up, he kind of pulled me off to the side. He's like, Aaron, he's like, I appreciate you asking me to do this and paying this bill or whatever, but he told me flat out, he's like, everything that I just did to your car that you paid me to do, you are more than capable of doing this stuff yourself. And like for me, like coming from the mini truck scene, like that's not, you don't hear a lot of people saying that. You know, if you get somebody asking you to do something and they'll pay you for it, you're just gonna fucking do it and shut your mouth. Right? This guy took my money and told me basically that, you know, I'm paying him for something that I could have done. And I took that information, I appreciated it, I have the utmost respect for Tom, and it pushed me to the point where it was like, all right, well shit, let's just go and do whatever I want to do with it. His few words just, you know, I remember when I was leaving there, he's like, careful, he's like, first gear is short and second gear pulls to the right. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't long after that I met all of you guys out at the drag strip for the ZZP thing, and then we did that Friday night car show out by Woodfield, and that's when I met Lainey and Rowan when Lainey was pregnant with Jet.
Yep.
And yeah.
And that's when because we were about to have the second kid, that's when I was like, hey man, let me sit in this and see if, because I was familiar with the platform being in the Ion. I was like, let me see if this could be my next move. I was like, it's ugly enough to still be cool.
This was basically our first conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we had met at the ZZP thing that they had at the drag strip up here. But when I met Joe and his group and the group of guys that were... Dude, why did you flick that beat right at me? Like, that was the first conversation that we had, was basically him asking me the comfort value of my car. Because he's got a baby coming, and he knew that we just had our second kid. Because Lincoln is just older than Jet. So I was like, man, like I like this dude. Like, he's asking me like a genuine question about family values because of the car that I'm driving. Like, he doesn't give a shit about the things that I've done to it. And I mean, like, that was...
As long as it's comfortable, I mean, the kid's gonna fall asleep in the back. That's all that matters, really.
Yeah.
Because like the red line was fine for one car seat. It fit in the middle between the two seats. Like, because me and my wife are both tall, like, or tall, you know. But so the red line, having the car seat in the middle was not a problem whatsoever.
The third door.
But I knew that 4 doors.
4 doors.
Right? But I knew.
You really have it.
Yeah.
Half doors, yeah.
Like an RX-8.
Did you ever take the baseball bat to it?
No.
You didn't do the baseball bat test?
No.
You did the baseball test.
What's really cool is you can remove, like, so they all start black, but you can remove every single body panel on those cars. Like a rear quarter is like 8 bolts, and you could bolt on. So like to do a color change, like if you found a red car at the junkyard, you could do a color change in seriously an afternoon. Like just bolting, like the door skins. That's 4 bolts holding the exterior door skins on. You know, I mean, it's very simple to remove all the plastic panels. Like, the only metal panel on that is the roof skin, the hood, and part of the trunk.
Really?
Yeah. Like, unbelievable. Very cool. Very interesting car to work on. And I remember I thought my first one, because I bought my first red line on my move up here. Like, an hour into my drive, I pulled over, bought the car, continued on my drive with this new car. I thought it was cool. I got it for dirt cheap. And then I met people from the Ecotech pages. Like I said, I knew nobody. I'm not a drinker, but they were all at like a Twin Peaks or something like that, whatever it was called. I enjoy people, but sometimes I get like, especially not knowing a single person, it's like, ooh man. So I went straight to the bar. It was like, I'll take a beer, and then I took a tall boy, like went to the table, introduced myself. So every time like they'd have a meet, I'd go to start like getting in, but I'd go to the bar first. For the longest time, everyone thought like I was a drunk because I drink a beer every time they see me. I was drinking, and like I said,
but you were just trying to.
That's the only time I drink.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to get myself to not be like an awkward weirdo just sitting here in silence, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, then that quickly changed.
Yeah, we got a pretty good group of guys around here.
I was telling them it seems it's kind of not in a bad way, but COVID split it into smaller tiers. We like, I know I used to be more active in the Midwest chat before COVID. Like there was no other secondary chats, you know, like. But then people became so focused on. People started doing more and more shit to each other's cars too. That it was like, okay, you guys both have LSJs, so they're just talking more. We both have the HHRSSs and Kevin, and it's like, so we were talking more. Like, COVID almost broke it up a little bit, and it's not like, I don't know, it's not in a bad thing.
No, I don't think it's bad.
There's
I definitely know
there's
what you
no
mean.
sour taste in anybody's mouth, but because of COVID, though, like even Ron and Pat became closer.
100%. The
You and
things
I,
that they talk about,
you
I
know?
can't figure out because I'm so lost in their conversation.
You and I became closer. They're close together. We're close together. It was like those were the only things that we were really a lot like. It was weird for a long time, you know. So you and I getting together really happened. I feel like we got close because of COVID. You know?
Cool, for sure.
I mean, that's one good thing that came out of it.
Right. I paid my car off because of it too. The HHR.
Because of COVID?
Yeah, because whenever it first happened, they gave us the option. It's like, you can take layoff or you can stay and try to stick it out. Half the people that do what I do took the layoff. I mean, we had a serious discussion about it, me and my wife, and it was like, we're gonna risk it for the biscuit. And I went in and was like, everyone that took the layoff, I'll take all their work. So instead of being on call once a week, it was like I was on
Every
call
day.
5 times a week.
Yeah.
You know, and I get double time when I'm on call. So it's like, and when I'm on call, I'm like, let's say it's Monday. Even if we're slow and we don't have calls, I have to be there till 4:30 when business hours are up. So it's like during COVID, even when we weren't crazy busy, I was getting all of my hours plus some. You know, so
Good choice.
because of that, yeah, I racked it up quick.
With that being said, COVID definitely created a separation. We talked about this earlier. The separation of people that might not necessarily have the same motivation or desire to do things. Like for me, like when we had our lockdown, you know, I was out here.
Yeah.
I was working on a car.
Yep.
Like I had an absolute blast working on my car during COVID. And I think that was like a shit or get off the pot. I think moment for almost the entire car scene. Because there were a lot of people that were just like, let's get shit done. Like the auto industry boomed. You couldn't get parts because everybody was buying parts. You know, everybody got government money and everybody was buying race car parts.
Right.
Yeah.
Building cars. And
Very well just bought a new set of wheels.
yeah, everybody was buying wheels. Everybody got new wheels during COVID.
No, it was very different for us in Florida. We had like we didn't know what was going on, so it was like a 2-week. We're gonna shut down. No, just keep working. Just keep your distance. We just kept working through it. Like, I mean, we thought we were gonna take 2 weeks off, but we just kept. I mean, we were working in me at the time, I was working in like a mansion, so I was pretty much by myself. So there was no worry about anybody else coming in, and everybody had their own sections of working and everything. So we worked through the whole goddamn thing. It was nonstop. And I say about a year after the pandemic, it got so busy that weekends were pretty much non-existent for me. It was so crazy. Everyone got up, left from their places, and moved to Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw extremes on both ends.
Oh.
You know, and it's like do service plumbing, so it's like I am here for you. So people would be like, if I went up with a mask, they'd think I was sick. You know, or it's like, or if I went up without one, they would think I was like toxic. So it's like your house, your rules. Whatever you want me to do to feel comfortable, I'll do it.
I had surgical gloves. I had a mask. I had booties. I mean, we tried to accommodate because we have a lot of senior citizens down there.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did was they just shut down everything for like a good couple months for like seniors and stuff. They didn't let anybody go in there. I mean, if there was emergency work to be done, there was a big orchestrative thing to get done. But
yep, same. If I had to go into
you had
an old people's home, they'd make me do
you
a
had to work
COVID
it out with
test before I
maintenance.
could go
You had to
in.
work out with them, let them go somewhere else. Make sure you wash your hands constantly. I mean, still have my mask in my truck. I barely use it now. Nobody cares now.
Yeah. For us, I mean, being in the town that we were in, the town shut everything down. The mayor called for a shutdown. So we didn't know. You know, they weren't telling anybody who was
Essential worker.
an essential worker. Right? So we didn't know that we were considered one because nobody told us. There was no guidelines for it. So we were actually shut down for 5 weeks. And a lot of people in the town were closed down even longer than that, and there was a lot of people complaining. There was a lot of people that were hurt by it. For me, my personal experience with it, I had 2 kids. At the time, they were 3 and 4. I was 37 years old. I've been working my entire life since I was 15 years old.
It's strange for somebody to tell you to stop working.
It was a weird time for somebody to tell me to stop working, that I couldn't go to work. But I thought to myself, if nobody's working, I can either sit at home and I can be mad about it, or I can sit at home and I can spend this time with my kids, that I will never have this time to be this type of dad ever again in my life.
It's a
They're
silver lining.
little kids.
It was definitely
And it was definitely a silver lining to where people in Florida that were working and not wanting to stop, like, I fucking get it. Like, I get that drive. I didn't want to stop working. I didn't want to do that.
I mean,
But because I was forced into that position, it's like, people are like, well, what did you do in the time you guys were shut down? It's like, I made banana pancakes like 3 days a week.
Oh, man.
And we got ice cream. Like, we watched movies. Like, we did whatever we wanted. I finished projects around the house.
You just catch
Like,
up on everything.
Yeah, and it was time as a dad that I'll never have ever again. And for me personally, I went back to work to customers that were ready to pay their bills and put in more work for us. So I knew as soon as I went back to work, the work was going to be there. It was just a matter of finding out, like, hey, what's happening here? And it was just literally a matter of my brother picking up the phone and calling somebody and be like, what is an essential company? And they're like, well, what do you guys do? And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess you guys could be essential.
Wow,
It's like,
thanks.
okay, thanks. So we're going to go back to work now. It was
I mean,
literally like
we
a
can-
Wednesday.
we
My
can
brother's
have
like, we
3
can
to
go
4
back to
hours.
work tomorrow.
Yeah, we can have a whole different podcast on how
Yeah.
government should and should not work.
It was, yeah, for a
It's like-
family business, it was a weird thing to, you know, I grew up where when my dad wanted to take us hunting, we shut the whole place down for a week and we went hunting. You know, we were gone for a
Gone
week.
fishing.
And
Yep.
like nowadays, like my brothers and I can't afford to do that. Like we can't
No.
afford to shut down and just leave. But to be forced to do that, it was a weird thing. It was very weird, but I considered myself to be in a unique situation, knowing that my work is going to be there for me when I go back. Like, it's going to be there. Right now, I'm just going to be dead. Because with everything that was going on here, the 5 weeks that we were shut down, when do you think that 5 weeks took place? During the fucking riots. So I was home here all day for that shit, and it was.
I
It was
cannot
a trip.
imagine, especially when it's going down the street.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell him all the time. Him and I were on the phone. I was on the back deck up there with the saw building the boys' bunk bed. And I said to Joe, I was on the phone in between some cuts, and I was like, wait, hold on a second. We were talking about what was going on here. And I was like, dude, they're protesting at the intersection down the street from my house. Like, I can hear them while I'm on the phone with you. And in those couple days, my entire life just went,
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Imagine.
like people are like, oh, how can you be so happy and, you know, all about your family? It's like, because I've seen shit that I just simply would rather not focus on. I can control what is right here.
Not what's out there.
Yeah, not what's out there.
The dealership, Rob, like, if I could imagine what war looks like, it was Kenosha. The dealerships, the cars were so hot, the only thing left on wheels was the center of the wheel, like where the lugs are. Spokes, barrel, gone, melted on every single car because they were so hot, just melted it, and it was so thick there it wouldn't melt. It was insane. Like, that was something, seeing that.
Interesting seeing it like live and in your face. You know, it's one
It's
thing.
everyone's your backyard.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those things that happened, you know, we all have lived through the last few years. We've all experienced these things together. We've all seen them on Facebook. We talk about them, we debate about them and all that. Having it right here in my face in reality, not on social media.
Yeah.
You know, I hear,
You lived it first.
I lived it.
firsthand.
Like, I see the world talking about things happening right here in my town. And I see things. We talked about it. Like, I see the way things are being portrayed and the way things are actually happening. And the two things did not line up.
No, they did not jive.
They did not line up. And that's still not talked about. And a lot of things, it was just a very strange experience. And I don't
No,
wish
sir.
that on anybody.
I'm gonna have to cut it there because I got a 2-hour trip home.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right. Yeah, we're 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, man.
All right, we got 4 people watching right now, so thanks guys for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we got Rob here. He's heading out.
Any last minute questions?
The Kyle Talk. You guys are awesome. What was that? I was essential, not gonna lie. I missed the love. The COVID Talk.
Yeah.
The Kyle Talk.
We traveled into the little.
This is like a good podcast. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah, honestly, I hope to do more stuff like this on the channel with other people. I think for this first bench racing, whatever you want to call it, having Rob here, I mean, awesome. I thought it was awesome.
A great time.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it.
Worth the trip, for sure.
All right. You guys, have a good night. Don't do anything I wouldn't do twice. Say bye, Joe.
You guys out?
Yeah, we're turning out.
It.
Joe's gonna come say bye. So I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. The likes, the shares, the comments, all that good stuff. We all
whatever
appreciate it.
answers that doesn't get done, I'll answer them on my.
Yeah. You guys, do you have any more questions? Throw it up here in the chat. We can come back and answer them. So
I'll
this
still be awake another 2 hours because
yeah, this is all gonna be posted. So yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out. Let's take it easy.
See ya.
Oh.